Hi. So I really like Dominion and also recently got the Dominion Intrigue expansion for me, and at first I really liked it. But then I started to realize that a lot of the cards are actually just power creep of the uh, original Dominion, and that I found pretty boring after a while. So a lot of the cards are so similar but a lot stronger than the Dominion cards. First of all, obviously there's Mining Village. Uh, I mean, it's just in the name, it's the same as Village, but stronger. You can trash it for +2 coins, so uh, it gives you a huge economy boost in the late game if you want to get rid of it. And yeah, basically plays exactly the same as Village. So not very original there. Also there's Shantytown, which also gives you +2 actions just like a Village, but instead of drawing one card, you can draw 2 cards with it, which is amazingly good. I mean, compared to Laboratory, it's even better than that. And the best part is that you get the 2 cards exactly when you need them. Because if you have no action cards in hand, you can use that to draw your action cards. And if you have action cards in hand, then the +1 card isn't as useful anyway. So extremely powerful for just the same price as Village. And I mean, you can even plan your deck around if you have a deck that's built around Shantytown to make good use of it, then it's basically every time activated. So basically you build your deck with no other action cards than Shantytown and just Shantytowns and Treasure, and you have this extremely powerful card. And I don't understand how this got through playtesting. It's so much better than Village. So yeah, so that's big power creep. And another obvious one is Ironworks. You compare it to Workshop, and basically the first part is exactly the same. You can gain a card costing up to 4, and then you even get something as a bonus. So if it's an action card, you get +1 action. If it's a treasure card, you get +1 coin. And if it's a victory card, you draw another card, and that's actually insane. And doesn't stop there. There are, though, in Intrigue, there are those multi-purpose cards. So there are victory action cards, for example, like Great Hall, and you get both of the effects there. I mean, why don't you just get one? That's crazy. So you can like play 4 Ironworks in a turn here and gain 4 Great Halls and don't even reduce your hand size. So yeah, extreme power creep there, and it's also only cost 1 more than the Workshop, and it can gain itself, so that's really crazy without costing actions. So then we have the Steward card, simple card, costs 3, gives you the choice of 3 cards. At first you think, yeah, that's fine, not too strong, but if you compare it to base cards, the +2 cards is basically a mode. The +2 coins is basically silver, costs also 3. And trash 2 cards from your hand is basically chapel. Well, those cost only 2, but here you have the flexibility to choose whatever you need for the situation. So those should come at a cost, I think. So this should cost at least 4 or 5. And I mean, let's be honest, it's a bit weaker than Chapel by the numbers. You can only trash 2 cards and not 4, but let's be honest, how often do you really have 4 curses in your hand? So 2 is more than enough most of the time. So that's a really strong card here, and way better than most of the, well, the fact that you can choose whatever you want is way better than those 3 cards in the base set. So yeah, 1 more power creep card here. So Bridge, at first I thought that's an original thing. You reduce the cost of cards on the board and in your hand or whatever, and yeah, that's really something no other card has done before. But then if you think about it, it's basically like a woodcutter that just produces 1 more coin if you use both your buys. So it's +1 buy +3 coins, and well, that's better than gold actually. So for just 4 coins, 1 more than the woodcutter only, so you get this amazingly more powerful card. So another really power creep here. So this conspirator gives you +2 coins and then +1 card, +1 action. I mean, it's a little bit tricky to get activated, but if it's activated you get twice the effect of a poacher, and you don't even have the downside if piles are empty, and usually the poacher pile is empty and conspirator pile is also empty, so that's amazing. I mean, 2 poachers in one should cost 8. I mean, maybe a little bit less, because 8 you here have the requirement to activate before, but at 4 at the same cost of poacher, that's insane. And here we have this basically the strongest attack of the whole game here. You draw +3 cards, that's the same as Smithy, and then each other player discards 2 cards, that's actually the same as Militia, or they gain a curse, that's the same as Witch. So you have here the Militia attack, even harder than Militia, because if you play more Torturers they might again have to discard. And then you have the Witch attack here, you gain them curse, and it's even worse than Witch, because with Witch usually if both players get them, the curses get distributed evenly, but here the one player plays 2 or 3 Torturers in a turn and the other player has to take curses, so the curse split is going like 10-0 often with Torturer, because the other player can't do anything with 1 or 2 cards only in his hand. Yeah, so it's also +3 cards compared to Witch, so it's Smithy level. So you have here Witch, Militia and Smithy, a 4 cost, another 4 cost and a 5 cost, and this card also only costs 5, and I totally can't understand it. If you add this up, 4 and 5 has to be 13, and this card, I mean, it doesn't always do the same. So 13 obviously is too much, but 5 is extremely cheap here compared to those base cards, so a real big power creep again. So then we have Pawn. This time it's pretty cheap card, pretty innocent, and you get to choose 2 of +1 card, +1 action, +1 vibe, +1 coin. And at first it seems original here, you have the choice, but the 4 options you have are basically market, and that costs 5. And you get 2 of those, so you get only half of a market, sure, but it's also only costs 2 and market costs 5, so it's way less than half. And the fact that you get to choose 2 of the options means you always get the better half, so it should cost more than half of a market, so at least 3. At 2 this is extremely cheap here, so not really power creep like the other cards, but it's way more efficient for its cost. And yeah, here we have another power creep. I mean, if silver wasn't already powerful enough, here we get basically 2 estates with it, so 2 victory points and a silver in 1 card. And yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than silver at 6, but if you think about it, 2 estates costs 2 each, so 4, and the silver costs 3, so it should cost 7 actually, so 6. I mean, it's not that extremely powerful of a card, but once again you have like the simple concepts of the base set here combined into of multiple cards in 1 card. And with nobles it's even more extreme. You get the 2 victory points, just like the harem, but you also get the Smithy effect and or a village effect, so as if village and Smithy didn't synergize well enough already, you get both in 1 card, and that's insane. And here the cost is actually even more crazy, because Smithy costs 4, village costs 3. Okay, it is a bit worse than village, but let's say it costs 2. That's already 6, and then you get the 2 points as a bonus. Like, what is the reasoning for that? So here we have a card that was so powerful it got even removed from the first edition and is no longer in the game. Probably because it was too powerful, because it only costs 1 more than an estate, but usually estates are useless cards, and this one even gives you +1 card, +1 action. I mean, that's basically the best option you usually pick from Pawn. and that costs 2, should cost 3. This one costs also 3, and also gives you basically the estate, which costs 2, so big power creep on estate here. Not to mention that you can gain it efficiently with ironworks. So yeah, no wonder they removed this one from first edition. And another one, Coppersmith says copper produces an extra 1 this turn. So at first it seems original, something never a card has been done, but then I realized that basically it turns your coppers into silver in your hand, and there is another card that turns coppers into silver in the base set, and that is mine. Oh, here it is. And yeah, that only affects 1 card in your hand, and Coppersmith affects every card in your hand, so it's so much more powerful and even costs 1 less. So here I completely don't understand why they did choose to cost, why they did make this cost 4. And yeah, no wonder they removed it from the first edition for being too powerful. And well, upgrade is the one example I have for a card they actually made weaker. So there's remodel, you know, that you treasure a card and you gain a card costing 2 more. And this time you only get a card costing exactly 1 more, so not only is it less than 2 more, but you trash your coppers and curses and gain nothing for it. And with remodel you at least gain a 2 cost card, because there are no 1 cost cards. So yeah, they made this one way weaker. But just as you think, well, at least once they made a card weaker, second edition released Replace. And that's basically the same as remodel, and also top decks the card if it's an action or treasure, so basically remodel and harbinger combined. And if it's a victory card, each other player gains a curse, so even once again the witch is in there. So a real powerful card they released with the second edition, and I wouldn't be surprised if it got removed again with the third edition because it's too powerful. So there you have it. This is my list of the power creep cards from Intrigue, and yeah, I hope you learned about something about power creep in Dominion and why it's a bad thing. And yeah, see you the next time I make a video.